Good morning, Kathy here from KathysKuteKreations. Today is the 29th of November, and it is time for week 3 of the homemade holiday mystery quilt. Week 3, and it is time to make candy. Yes, that's what we're going to be making today, some candy in green and red. If you're following along, it's going to end up looking like this when you're all finished with it. And I have never made this kind of block before, so this is pretty exciting. We're going to end up with 4 of red and 4 of green if you're going with this colorway. Otherwise, it'll be something else. And let me get you started. So I'm going to show you my fabric down here on the design board. Here we go. Don't be intimidated by all the fabric and everything. We're just going to do one at a time. I'll show you how to do one of the candies, and then you can go from there, because I don't want to make this video super duper long. But in your case, to be faster, you will actually chain stitch everything, so it'll be a lot faster for you to get it done. I just want to show the one. All right, let's get started. All right, so I'm going to make the red ones first, but I'm going to go ahead and mark all of my white. So you're just marking them from corner to corner, and I'm using this tool right here. And the sewing line, which, whoops, my finger was in the way there, is on the right and the left. You can put your cutting line if you want, but when you get done, you'll pretty well have it down the middle of your fabric. I'll go ahead and mark it since I got the tool to do that. And I'm just going to mark it like this. Not that I needed it, but yeah, because it'll go right down the edge there. See, like that. Whoops, I guess I didn't get it well enough on the right side there. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to sew on this line, and I'm going to, when I get done, I'll cut all the way up there. So you got to do both. You're going to put an X, is what you're going to do. I got to do it a little bit darker. I think I need to prime my pen, I guess. There we go. Of course, my pen could be using up my ink here, but it's been a while since I've had this pen. I like this pen with the removable top on it. I saw a lady out at work one time actually use this pen at work. Yeah, I think I'm just about to lose my ink. Okay. And if you don't have this kind of ruler, that's fine. Go ahead and use a regular ruler. Just make sure that it's at least the length of your fabric or longer. Okay? All right, go ahead and mark all of yours up. Alrighty, so if you don't have this kind of ruler, which is fine, you don't have to have that kind of ruler. Use your regular ruler, but like I said, you need to have it extending off of the top and the bottom. So I take the line, which is the 1/4 inch, I put it on the corner, on the top as well as the bottom. I hold it firmly so that my material does not move. And I mark it. And like I said, if your pin isn't just about worn out, you won't have to go back and forth. Just one strip should be enough for you. Then what I do is I take it and I put it, not only does it line up there, I can tell it's a 1/4 inch on the line right there. So I just get it lined up and then do it again. Now when I sew this, I'm going to sew towards the inside. And what I'm talking about is, instead of focusing on sewing on the line, I'm going to sew towards this side here so that this turns out the correct size. Because you lose a little bit when you mark on your line, when you mark a line on your fabric. And you're doing a 1/4 inch, that's the distance. That's what I'm marking, a 1/4 inch from the seam. Not the seam, I'm sorry. I'm marking 1/4 inch from the middle of the fabric there. Just take your time. And if you don't have a friction pen, you can use a regular pencil. You can, whatever you have. Okay, there we go. Keeping in mind that the friction pen, once you iron over it, you'll lose your mark. So if you make a mistake marking this, just go over it with an iron and you're done. Okay, and I'm not gonna do the middle because when I get ready to cut it, I'll lay it down, put it right in the middle, and then just cut it with my rotary cutter. Okay, that's it. Let's get started. You want to put your right sides together on your squares, and like I said, I'm going to do the red one first. Whatever color you're using, that's what you can use. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pin it, just because I don't want any kind of slippage or anything. I just pin it like that, just holding it into place, and then I'll sew the whole thing. And like I said, go ahead and do it so you can chain stitch it, okay? All right, let's go ahead and sew from end to end, and we'll have 4 lines of sewing before we do any cutting. So don't cut it until we're totally finished sewing it. Otherwise, you're going to be doing bias sewing, and you don't want to be doing that. All right, this will keep it firmer. If you, at this point, if you're a starcher and you're the kind of person that likes to starch, this is when you would want to do that. Go ahead and get all this starched before you mark it up and sew it. It's really hard to believe this is already week 3. I tell you what, oh my gosh. And you can look at it 2 different ways. One, we're halfway done because we're on week 3, which doesn't seem right, does it? Because there's only 6 of these, so, but they're always exciting to make. And like I said before, I've never made a candy block. This reminds me of that twist candy, the peppermint candy that you get at the store. Actually, any kind of twist candy, but it looks like it's more round, which would be the peppermint. And the only thing better than the peppermint candy are those bobs they came out with. Now, I don't know, other than Walmart, I don't know if Target has them, but if y'all have ever bought them, you know what I'm talking about. They're the peppermint candy that's individually wrapped, and it's really, really soft, so it practically melts in your mouth. I haven't seen any of those lately. Usually, I take a big old container of those to the craft shows and put it in a jar on the table for all my customers that come up to the table. And I'm doing a 2.5 on my length in case you needed to know that. Now if your needle starts catching, you might need a new needle. You should be able to feel your needle to feel if you have a burr on it or not. Alrighty, now you just take your ruler and make sure it goes from one end to the other, and you're just going to cut it. That's all there is to it. And then you're going to make 8, so you want to go straight down through here, and you can do this 1 or 2 ways. So I'm going to do it this way first. And what I'm doing is squaring it up across the top and putting it on the corner down here and going straight up with it, which is the halfway mark. That's one way to do it. So you'll have 2 the same size. We're going to take them, we're going to open them up, and we're going to have our half square triangle. So let me finish this, and then I'm going to show you the other way to mark it. Okay, so the first time when I marked it, I forgot to go ahead and finish marking it. I was so excited about getting the marks on here. So let me show you. So after you've marked it this way, the easiest way to do this is going to be going through your lines here, okay? And what I do is I square it up on both sides here so that it goes across the line. And then this will go right through the middle, which you can do that right there to see. Make sure it does. Just go all the way up, all the way down. That's going to be your cutting line. There we go. And just mark it. Okay, and then all you got to do, there's one. And like I said, if your mat, I should have put this on my rotating mat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick this mat up and act like it rotates. We'll go that route, shall we? Now this is if you had a rotary mat, or if your mat's small enough you can do this, that's fine too. go. Okay, so go ahead and do all yours up, open them up, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so now it's time to cut your half square triangles. They want them to be 3 inches a piece. I know it's a lot of fabric being cut off, but that's all right. You can use a lock block. You can use that kind of ruler if you're more comfortable with it. I like just the square because I like these rulers here. So I'm going to do it with this. And what I do is I normally make it 3.5 inches first off. Line up the diagonal line across your half square. So this is half the square and there's the seam. The block lock will lock it into the seam. And then I rotate this. I wonder if it's going to be in the camera. There we go. Move it up a little bit. And then take it down to the 3. So it's a 3-inch square. Line it up across the diagonal just like before. Push down on it. And let me turn this so that you can see it. Make sure it's lined up there. And there you go. And that is a 3-inch square. And do all of yours like that. Green ones, and I've got one more to do. This is what you end up when you're finished. And now we're going to make the pinwheel blocks, which is the inside piece of the candy. So I'm going to start with the red and just put your colors opposite each other. Like this. They're opposite from each other. So you'll have a white, a red, a white, a red, a white, like that. Okay? And then just do them all like that. And then we're going to sew them together. Alrighty. So what I did was I took the pen through here. It comes out right there. Make sure you can see the pen. Okay? And then I take this one and put it up against it and put the pen right there in that spot, which comes out here, and those are going to go together. And while that pen is still in there, holding it straight, that's where I'll put a pen on the right and the left. But first, I'm going to go to the end. I'm going to pin it. This way it keeps it as straight as it can before I have to maneuver it. So it's got a pin on each end, and now I can take it and put a pin right in the middle here. Now keep in mind, when you put your pin in, you want to go at an angle. If you go straight up and down, you're pulling your fabric. And I'm going to put it in on this side because this is the side that it's going to go over first. Okay, and then I'm going to put it on the other side, right here. Just like this. Whoops. There we go. Pull this pin out. And it looks just like that. All right, here we go. Take your time. Oops. Okay, so I didn't mark this, but on yours, you're going to be able to see, and I'll go ahead and I'll mark it right now, but you're going to see, I'm going to pick up my camera here and show you before I actually sew this. And this is what you're going to see on yours. So see where I marked it? This is what you will see on yours. You'll see the white and the red, and you'll notice stay right up there above that line where that 2 pieces of fabric come together. So let's go ahead and sew that. All right. And as soon as I get up there, I'll take my pen out. Now if you need to guide it, go ahead and guide it with your hand. And that is going to be a lot of bulk. So just take your time. There we go. Let's take the pen out, and we're going to slowly go where no man has gone. Okay, here we go. One more. Let's take this pen out. I'm just slowly guiding it. There we go. And I went right into that crack. So that worked out really, really good. And now remember, you can always make your thread longer for a basting stitch if you think you're going to have to take that out. Okay. Let's take a look at it. All right, there it is. We haven't lost any of our tips. Okay. And this is what the back side looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and take it, and I'm going to literally iron it open like this and flatten it out. There we have it, all ironed open, just like that. It's all pressed open. Okay, just like that. And the tool that I used was this here. First I laid it down this direction, and then I pressed it. And then when it was pressed, I laid it this way, and I pressed it again. Then I laid it on my ironing board and pressed it one more time. Okay, and yes, this is the board I got from Yvette Rede Creations. Just so you know, you can use anything you want. You can use a press, board, anything. Doesn't make a difference. And I know that some of you take like a wooden mallet and bang it, and if that's what you all want to do, then go ahead, do it, whatever. But there you go. That's our one piece of candy, the inside part, before we put our corners on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make them all so I can stack them up and just do one at a time. But first, let's go ahead and we're going to put our corners on. So it wants the 1.5 by 1.5 inch squares. We're going to need to mark them. So I'm going to get a darker friction pen out here. Let me see if my red one will work or not. I will tell you here in a minute. Yes, I can see it. So you're going to mark it. See if you can see it. And we're going to put it in the corner just like this so that your marks are diagonal. And I will literally put a pen right in there to hold that. And when I sew it, I'm going to sew on the right side of the line. So when you're done, you're going to flip it over like this. And all 4 corners will be just like that. Let's see if you can see it. Just like that. All right, so let's go ahead and mark them so we can come back and I can sew each corner. Remember, I'm going to do it on the right side of the line, closest to the edge. Just take your time. Hopefully my fingers aren't in the way here. I'll do every one. Alrighty, before there's any kind of cutting, this is what it's going to look like. Then you're going to cut the edge off, put your little ruler 1/4 inch and cut this excess off, and then you're going to fold this over, just like that. And then when you're done, you're going to have 4 red and 4 green. So I'm going to go ahead and finish mine. You guys go ahead and do yours up too. Now it's time to take our 2-inch squares and mark them all. So I have them all marked. I have 2 piles here because what it's telling us to do is we're going to take one pile and we're going to take our marked fabric and we're going to put mark on the right hand corner and we're going to come downward with it. We're going to make them half that way. Then we're going to take the other pile and I'm going to lay them out before I do them so I don't get confused. And this is going to go the other direction. So when you're finished, you're going to have half your pile. It's going to be sewn and flipped over this direction. And the other half is going to be sewn and flipped over that direction. Okay, and that's what we're going to do first. And these are going to end up being flying geese. So when you sew these, instead of starting at the corner, which will jam your machine, I always start at the other end. Hopefully my hands are not in the way. And just chain stitch them. Okay, so I'm looking at this here and I decided to put a different kind of white. Now we have the grunge here, which is on this side. That's going to be one side of the wing. And then I put a different kind of white, which is this one here. I don't know if you can see it or not, because I kind of like that. So half my candy is going to have a grunge because they're going to end up going like this. And the other half is going to be something else. So I thought that would look pretty neat, just to have it be different. So that's what I did with mine, but go ahead and use your grunge or whatever color you want. But I really did like this different color. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut all these ends off. So all these have to be cut off so they can be ironed back so that we can sew these together to make the flying geese. Okay. I'll be sure and iron one whole pile to the blue and one to the white so that you can nestle them when they go together. So you're going to put them like this and you're going to nestle them. Hatch them up really, really good. Put a pin in it and then sew it. And we'll chain stitch these. Alrighty, I got them all lined up here on the table, and I'm just going to chain stitch them. So put them all together, and when we get done, we'll have the flying geese, and we'll iron them before we attach them. I'll get us all started, but I'm not going to film all of this because that'd just be a waste of time. Y'all know how to do all the chain stitching. And I've started at the top where it's got a bulk, so I put a pin in every one up at the top because I can just put my hand down here for the bottom, get it started, and then pull the pin out. So they're all nestled. That's the only reason I did that. And then when that one's done, just bring the next one up and start it. Alright, here's where you should be at. You should have your flying geese done. And remember, my fabric is 2 different colors here, so it's not your camera that you're looking at or your video. That is correct. And now we're going to put this on each side of our candy. I'm calling this piece right here the candy. But what you're going to do, okay, I went in and I pinned one side and I've marked it, but let me show you. Take your flying geese. This end goes up here, okay? You want the nose up here, and then what I did was I pinned it. Now you can see right here where it needs to go, so there's nothing special on that side. We'll mark it on this side. The side that you're going to sew on is the side you're going to mark it on. And all I did, and I'll bring you a little closer so you can see it, and you can see right here where the 2 whites meet. And so we want to stay on this side of the line over here. So just put a line on it, and then you won't take your tip off. And I'm going to pin both mine on before I sew them together. All I've put in it is 3 pins, just one at the top part where I'm starting, and then one at the bottom and one in the middle. So as soon as I start it, I'll take my pin out, and then you're going to pay attention to the part that you marked up here. Just slow down when you come up to it. There you go. Time. And I always say, if you have to, go ahead and make your stitch bigger. This way, if you got to take it out, it won't be so hard. There's one. Now, if you're worried about it, you can go right here in the middle of it. You don't even need to start at the end. You can start right here. Go ahead and sew it. I'm going to have to pull it. Looks like it's hung up a bit. Okay, pull it through there. And in my case, I'm going to go ahead and come all the way down to the bottom. And I'm going to take a look at it to see if I need to move it. It looks just fine. I could even go closer if I wanted to. I'll just go back over here and start it. Take my pin out, and I'm going to meet that. Just like that. I'll back it up a couple times and take it out, and we'll take a look at both sides. All right, I haven't ironed it yet, but here it is. There's that. And here's the other side. I didn't take any tips off. Now I'll iron this open, and then we're going to put the top strip and the bottom strip. All right, so we're going to put these little strips on the sides first, and then when we're done on the side, we'll put the top 2 strips on. So this doesn't need any kind of marking or anything, just put it on. Okay, that's it. Let's do that next. Now we just have to add the top and the bottom, and it looks like a piece of candy wrapped. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Now I pinned mine quite a bit to hold it down everywhere that it was ironed because I didn't want it to come up or fold over. And you're going to do both sides the same way. Nothing has to be marked or matched up or anything. And like I always say, if you feel like you have to mark it, then go ahead and mark it. We'll do the other one and then just iron it open. And here's the other side. Now we're going to iron it and take a look at it. There we go, our beautiful piece of candy. All right, let me go ahead and get them all done so I can show them to you. But that's basically what they're going to look like. There's going to be 4 of the red and white and then 4 of the green and white. And there we have all of our candy finished. 4 of each, 4 greens, 4 reds. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. You can make a comment if you'd like. And I will see you next week for week 4. And that will also, it will not be a challenging block. We have made the block before. Well, I've made the block before. I don't know if you guys have, but it is in the theme of Christmas. So I'll see you all next Monday. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. Bye-bye.